Hi, fourth grade. Today we're going to continue with our realistic fiction writing unit, and our topic for today is problem and solution. So our goal is to be able to identify and state the main problem in a story so that we can infer possible solutions. That means we can take the information from the problem and find a possible solution. So first, we have to figure out what a problem is and what a solution is. So let's just go over those definitions. A problem is the main challenge or difficulty the character is facing. You may have sometimes heard this as the conflict of a story. Solution is how it's solved. And sometimes that is referred to as the resolution. So I want you to think about when you listen to a good story or when you tell a good story. Doesn't it usually have a problem? Aren't you trying to solve something? Stories that don't have problems and a satisfying solution are usually boring. So we want to make our story interesting to our readers. And to do that, we need to have a problem. That problem then has to be solved in our story. I'm looking at this little graphic. So our problem here is we have this little lion and he's covered in a net. That's his problem. He can't get out. What's he going to do? His solution is there's a little mouse there who will chew through the net so he can be free. So when you're asking yourself as you're listening to stories, what is the problem the character has or is he's facing? Or what does the character need or want? Those are your possible questions to ask when you're trying to figure out what the problem is. And then after you figure out the problem is when you can find the solution. So I want to go back and I want you to get out your composition notebook and I want us to think about problems that Ravi and Joe have in our story, Save Me a Seat. So we're going to think back to our novel and we'll write down at least one problem for Ravi and one problem for Joe. Now, these problems are not solved yet. So we're going to infer by the things we've read so far, how we might find some solutions to these stories. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get out my writing tools and I'm going to brainstorm a possible problem that I find here. What is one of Ravi's problems? Well, no one thinks he's smart. That's the major problem, in my opinion. So I'm going to write that down. Now you need to come up with your own idea of what Ravi's problem is and write it in your composition notebook. Then I want you to do the same thing for Joe. What is a problem Joe has? There's so many things we could think of. It could do with his mom. It could do with Dylan. It could do with his APD, auditory processing disorder. And I want you to think of some possible solutions for each of their problems. Now you can come up with more than one. That'd be great if you can come up with more than one problem. And then some possible solutions. Think of as many solutions to their problem. No one thinks he's smart. What could he do to show that he is? Joe, maybe he's always hungry. That is definitely a problem for Joe. How can that be solved? Take a break, fill this out, and when you're ready, resume this video. Get rid of that. All right, now that you have written some problems and solutions for Joe and Ravi, you're going to go into Seesaw. This video will be there too, so you can refer back to it. But I want you to refer back to the 3 different mentor texts that we have listened to. Harriet, You'll Drive Me Wild, How to Catch a Star, and This Moose Belongs to Me. And I want you to think of the possible problems in each of these stories. And then I want you to write some solutions. Now, you might not remember these stories. What can you do? You can go to page 2 of the activity, and there are links to each of those stories where you can listen to them again. So you can listen, write a problem. listen some more, write another problem, then write some solutions after. And then I want you to share these with your teacher so they can see that you're identifying the problems and coming up with possible solutions.